You all really thought you knew me, but now I'm about to hit you with that Itachi swipe. Boom, you were in a genjutsu. There's a writer's perspective and the fan perspective. Neither is right or wrong, it just depends on what you value more. From a writing perspective, going into the final arc, there were only 4 major things that needed to happen. Gojo vs Sukuna, Kenjaku's defeat, Sukuna's defeat, and the merger. All 4 of those had been major plot points for a long time. The first 3 since season 1. The first 3 are completed while the merger is not. Without mentioning execution, 3 out of 4 is solid. But it's even better that the merger wasn't done because it shows that JJK learned from Naruto's mistake. If the merger were to happen, number 1, it would be a villain that had no personal connection to any of the main heroes and technically came out of nowhere, kinda like Kaguya. Stories are always better when the conflict is personal. Kaguya having no relationship to any of the characters negatively impacted her fight. The merger would have presumably had the same problem, only made worse because it also probably have no personality, making it a mindless monster as the final antagonist. That would also remove a chance for themes, since the merger can't represent a lie if it's mindless. Number 2, it'd have been a villain stealing the final fight spotlight from the villain who's actually been set up for a while, Madara and Sukuna. Sukuna could have fought after the merger, but it's unlikely due to the fact that fights tend to escalate in difficulty in battle manga. Naruto saved his skin by having the final fight be Naruto vs Sasuke after Kaguya, but that only worked because there was a betrayal. I can't see Sukuna working with the heroes to fight the merger and then going back to fighting them. Again, possible, but unlikely. So I'm fine with the merger not happening. Out of the 3 completed tasks, Kenjaku's defeat was the only disappointing one. It was Takaba and Kenjaku goofing off the entire time, and then Yuta landing a one-shot sneak attack, killing Kenjaku. We didn't get to see Kenjaku or Yuta go all out, and it completely lacked any tension due to the comedy. That's a writing fumble. As for the other 2, it's the complete opposite. Both fights had all combatants going all out, creating intense battles. Once again, I feel like JJK learned from Naruto's mistakes. I made a video analyzing how Obito's last fight felt more climactic than Madara's last fight because it was more personal, more strategic, and included more fighters, making it feel like a blaze of glory. Unfortunately, the Obito fight happens before Madara's. JJK doesn't make that mistake. Everyone vs Sukuna is one of the most personal fights, especially for Yuji. This fight is extremely tactical, being one of the most dense in detail, and it included all of the remaining important fighters that were willing and able, even including some that I never expected. How many battle manga can you look at the final fight and say, this is one of the best fights in the story? JJK might be the only one. Gojo vs Sukuna was also very strategic and intense. What about the fan perspective? The fan perspective is focused on what you, as an individual fan, wanted to see rather than what was necessary for the story from a technical lens. In short, fan service. For example, in MHA, I wish Ida had more spotlight and cool moments in later arcs, but that wasn't necessary for the story to be good. Besides, he already had a phenomenal character arc and highlight in the hero killer arc. A lot of this includes setups and payoffs, but guess what? JJK does a good job there too. Kashimo vs Sukuna, Inamaki's return, Todo's return, Nobara's return, Yuji's curse technique, Yuji's domain, Mobile Suit Juda. None of these things had to happen writing-wise, but it was great fan service. I saw a couple people live it at the way that Kinji vs Urame played out. While it wasn't an exciting conclusion, the fight did conclude, which means there was a payoff. Furthermore, the fight had no relevance to the story and was honestly just a distraction. The moveset of both characters would have led to a repetitive battle, and the outcome of the battle didn't really matter. If Urame won, that snowman would have been melted by the rest of the cast once Sukuna was packed up. If Kinji won, he would have just been another distraction in the Sukuna fight. I don't see a major difference either way. Let me put myself on the stand. There were things that I specifically complained about. Megumi never getting to use his complete domain or Maharaga, Panda's third form abilities not being revealed, no Heian era flashback, characters getting the short end of the stick, the power system not reaching its full potential, and more. Most of these things are fan service complaints. As a fan, I wanted to see these things, but as a screenwriter or a technical writer, the lack of these things doesn't actually affect the story. So does that mean that this entire series was just fan service complaints? No. When I talk about the lack of character arcs, values, and the quality of the villains, those were writer complaints. The drought of themes, spectacle over substance, third act, and binding vows are writer complaints. The difference between a writer complaint and a fan complaint is that the former is actually rooted in the guidelines of writing, while the latter is based off of wanting to see something as a fan. For comparison, I think AOT had a bad ending. It had major character assassinations, which is when you fundamentally change a character, which is bad writing because it's inconsistent. It had a complete eradication of stakes and tension, and it had a conclusion that muddied the themes of the story. JJK doesn't do any of that. The cast stays in character, the stakes and tension are still present, and the conclusion doesn't contradict or muddy any of the themes. From a writer perspective, I think the ending, specifically the climactic battle, was fine. From a fan perspective, it's complicated, because most of my complaints come from certain things not happening over the course of the entire story. It's not just about the ending. For example, if I say, the ending is bad because X never happened, that's not just on the ending, that's on the beginning and middle too, because it never happened there either. So isn't my actual point that the entire story is bad? Why is it just the ending's fault? When I talk about an ending from a writer's perspective, I'm talking about the last arc or the last climax. When I say LT had a bad ending, I'm specifically talking about those last 2 chapters, not the entire story. So as a fan, was the ending actually bad, or was the whole story bad? I prioritize the writer perspective over the fan perspective, which is why I say the ending was fine. That concludes Jujutsu Kaisen Let Me Down.